Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh video. So today's video is another set of PSA returns. We got a small express submission and then a pretty big regular submission. I got the express submission back a few days before the regular, but I figured since it's not a big sub, I just wait and combine it with this one for the video. So the express sub has 4 cards. And before we get into any of the grades, I'll just say both the regular and the express subs were pretty strange with the results. I really didn't predict a lot of the grades correctly. And I don't think PSA necessarily did a great job, to be honest, with the grades. I'll show you a couple of examples later on in the video. But we did get some awesome grades at the same time. So overall, I'm still not too mad with the sub or anything like that. So we're starting off with a corrected art Dark Paladin. Now this was a BGS 9. I cracked it because centering is a little bit borderline. It has a couple of tiny factory surface issues. But I thought worst case we get a PSA 9, and it had that slight chance for a PSA 10 as well. And the grade we got on this Dark Paladin was actually a PSA 8. So this one is pretty strange to me. The front of the card is awesome. Edges and corners are clean. Surface is about as clean as you can hope for as well. So I'm not sure why it got an 8, but it is what it is. I'll probably crack this and resub it again in a future submission. Try and get at least the 9, if not the 10. But yeah, that's the first card. Next card is even stranger in terms of the grade. So this is a glossy print Gaia the Dragon Champion I picked up recently. This card's in absolutely awesome shape, front and back. I haven't looked it over yet to see if PSA added any kind of damage to the card. It's kind of hard for me to tell through the camera as well. But as far as I can see, it still looks really clean. I thought this was worst case scenario a 9, but to be honest, it's really clean. It's really centered. I thought I had a great chance for a 10, and the grade we got on this Gaia the Dragon Champion was a near mint 7. So this one kind of hurts. I'll for sure have to crack this and resub it. I really don't know why it got a 7. But it is what it is. You do sometimes just get 7s from PSA on cards where there's like really no clear reason why it would get the grade. And as I said, we did get some good grades on other cards, so it kind of makes up for it. Now the third card in this express return out of 4 is a European print Elemental Hero Wild Wingman ulti. Really awesome foiling on this card. European EOJ in general is extremely hard to find in gradable condition. So even a 9 is an awesome grade. Now I thought this card would just get a 9. You can see it's got a bit of a stamp. It's got a tiny bit of chipping on the back edges, which is a factory defect. It's an awesome copy overall, so that's why I wanted it graded. And the reason I put it in the express sub was because I had another European ultimate that you're about to see after it, which was cleaner. So I figured, I mean, you never know if it really makes a difference, but I figured I'd put this one in front, and assuming this got a 9, then the other one might get a 10. And that's what we got on this one. We got a mint 9 on this European Wild Wingman. So very cool card. Not too sure on the value. I feel like a North American print 9 is probably $250, $300 in that range. But European print, I would imagine there's a decent premium because you don't see many of these around. Alright, and the final card for the express sub. So far we've got a 7, an 8, and a 9, which is not great considering some of the other PSA results I've had back recently. This is the final card. It's a European print Elemental Hero Flame Wingman. Now this was a BGS 9.5 with a 9 on centering and then 3 9.5s. The reason I cracked it is because I thought the BGS grade was arguably fair because the back is very OC, top to bottom and left to right. So BGS normally would give that a 9 on centering, which is what it got. But for PSA, the front was pretty much centered. And they don't care that much about the back centering normally. So I decided to crack it from the 9.5, see if we could get it to the PSA 10, because that's definitely a better grade on it than a basic 9.5. And that's what we got. So we finished the express sub on a high. PSA 10 European print Elemental Hero Flame Wingman. I'm very happy to add this one to the collection. So that's it for the express submission. Then we have, I'm not sure exactly, something like 15 cards to go through for regular. Again, this sub was way up and down for the results on the regular sub. You'll see that on the next card. But to start with, we have this Breaker the Magical Warrior. This was also a basic 9.5 from BGS. If you watched my bulk returns recently, this was the card I got back in that return as a basic 9.5 with a 9 on surface. The card's really clean. I really didn't think the 9 on surface was fair. I mean, there's pretty much 0 waxing or anything like that on the back. No scratches or really any reason to give it a 9 on surface. So I decided to crack it since it has decent centering, send it to PSA, see if we could get the 10. I did think it would gem, and that's what we got, PSA 10. So this is awesome. I'm not sure exactly on the pop now. I think it's maybe 11, 12, 13, something like that. But yeah, really cool card to grade as a gem. I got upcharged on this, which to be honest is probably fair because I'm sure I could sell this for at least like 2.5K if I was looking to. So yeah, great start to this up. And now the next two cards. So these are both the same card. They're both Sacred Phoenix of Nephthys Ultimate Rare. And so the story behind these two copies, the one on the right I picked up recently as part of a collection, and it's really, really clean. I thought this had a chance for a 10. The one on the left was a BGS 8.5, which I thought was a fair grade. It has like quite a bit of chipping, some stamping on the back, stuff like that. It's still a pretty decent copy. It's still centered. So I thought this could upgrade potentially from an 8.5 to a 9 if we got lucky. But I would have been fine with an 8 as well. And the one on the right I thought was a really strong 9, and maybe we could get a 10 if I got lucky. And I'm pretty sure what happened, as you're about to see, is that PSA actually made a typo, and they switched the two grades. So we got a Gem Mint 10 on the BGS 8.5 that I cracked, and meanwhile the really clean copy that I picked up recently got a PSA 8. So I'm not really too sure what to say about it. I guess from like a financial perspective, this works out great for me because this card as a 10 is like 5K probably at least. So that's a huge plus on this from a BGS 8.5. Realistically, the copy on the right, I can just crack it and resub it and it'll get at least a 9, if not a 10. So it's kind of an example where from an objective point of view, PSA have done a pretty bad job with these two cards. There's literally no way in which the copy on the left is better than the one on the right, which is why I think they probably just actually switched the grades by accident rather than actually thinking this one was cleaner. But either way, if you're looking at it from a perspective of their sort of brand integrity, this kind of thing is not great at all. But yeah, like I said, I'm not going to complain. Got a Gem Mint 10 Sacred Phoenix, which is a really awesome card to grade as a 10. One of the hardest ultis to find, to be honest, in Gem Mint condition. So next up is another card I cracked from BGS. This was also in my latest BGS return as a BGS 9. I didn't think the 9 was necessarily unfair. It was like a quad plus plus, so 2 9s and 2 9.5s. But I figured it would have a decent chance for a 10, so I cracked it to see how it would go, and we got the Gem Mint 10. So this one's awesome. This is, again, like one of the cards I wasn't necessarily thinking had that great a chance. It was more just on the off chance it might get a 10. But I'm definitely very happy to have that one as a gem. It is just North American print, which has a lot less cool foiling than the European one, but still a pretty cool card overall. All right, next up. So this was also cracked from a BGS 9 from the same return. Now, whereas the Phoenix Enforcer I thought was like a potential 10, it could also get a 9 depending on the grader. This one I thought was a pretty easy 10. It's centered, it's really clean. There's really nothing wrong with it that I could find. It, I guess the tiniest bit of ulti stamping, but less than the Phoenix had. So absolute worst case, this was a 9, but realistically I thought this would get a 10. And this got a near mint to mint 8. So again, I'll have to look it over, see if there's anything that PSA have done to the card or something that I missed. But to be honest, I looked over this pretty closely before I subbed it, and it was definitely a pack fresh card. So it's just overall really strange submission. Like the cards that I didn't think would necessarily get 10s got them, and then really clean cards like this got 7s and 8s. Okay, next up we have a Ghost Rare Honest. This one I thought realistically would just get a 9 because it has like one very slight scratch in the middle of the foil. Aside from that, it's centered, it's really nice and clean on the back, so it had a chance for a 10, but I was expecting a 9, and that's what we got. We got a mint 9, so still a cool grade. Very, very cool looking Ghost Rare. This is one of those ghosts where there's a huge gap between the 9 and the 10. I think a 9 is probably less than $1,000, and a 10 is like close to 10K. So pretty crazy difference. And because of that, I might try resubbing it once or twice. But yeah, realistically on this, I do think the 9 was fair. All right, next up we have a couple of European ultis. Wild Edge and Thunder Giant. These both just got mint 9s. Both of them are arguably fair, to be honest. The Wild Edge has one, like, not actually a bit of whitening, but it has a slightly cracked corner on the back, like European cards often do. And the Thunder Giant rather, is just off center. Not badly, but enough where it's arguably fair to give it a 9. So yeah, both of these again will be regrade candidates. I don't know if I'm going to crack all of these right away. But even as 9s, they're still really cool cards. Really awesome foiling on both of them. Alright, next 2 cards are another 2 disappointments from this submission. So we've got a couple of faded cards. Now I saw a while back, we're talking maybe 2-3 months ago, PSA graded some really faded cards as gem mint 10s. There was one unlimited SDY Dark Magician that was pretty much maximum fade, and it got a gem mint 10, and I saw some MRD cards with solid amounts of fading, similar to the Time Wizard getting 10s. So I figured I'd give a chance to PSA again, see if they would grade faded cards correctly. The grades I was expecting was ideally an 8 on this Gaia, which is the really awesome wavy faded copy. I'm sure some of you guys have seen on my Instagram already. And I thought the Time Wizard would be at least a 9, but probably a 10. I mean, the only thing holding it back would be the centering. So 8 and 10 were like the grades I was hoping for. We got 6 and 8, so pretty much a 2-point deduction from what I thought would be fair grades. I assume because they're faded. It's hard to know exactly, but especially the 6 on the Gaia, there's really no reason this card would get a 6 aside from the fade, in my opinion. Ironically, it was actually a PSA 5 before, and I really have no idea why it got a 5. You guys can see it's a pretty clean card. There's like a slight scuff in the center on the back. It would be hard to even show. But yeah, like no way would it be lower than a 7 in my opinion, and realistically I think it deserves an 8. So both of these will be cracked, unless someone wants to offer on the Time Wizard, because that one is technically not a card that I need for my own collection. But yeah, it's disappointing to see some graders at PSA are apparently grading faded cards completely fine, giving them gem mint 10s. Other graders, you get grades like this, where they just get 6s, 7s, 8s, even if they're clean. So we're getting towards the end of the submission. The next card, though, is a big one. So this Needleworm is another card I cracked from BGS. It's kind of a trend in my recent subs. I've been looking over a lot of the BGS 9s I have, especially, which I think have a chance to regrade, and just cracking them, sending them to PSA and see what happens. This one was a BGS 9. I think it had 9.5 corners and 9 on the rest, which was honestly probably a fair grade. The card isn't completely packed fresh. It's not flawless condition. Centering is about as good as it gets on a Needleworm, but it is still tilted. There's just a shot of the back. You guys can see the condition. So my expectation was 100% just a 9 on this. I really didn't think we were going to get a gem. Just being such a big card, so hard to grade as a 10. I think there were only 5 before I set this one off. And the grade we got on this Needleworm was actually a gem mint 10. So that's absolutely crazy. Huge card. I got upcharged $1,000 by PSA, which I was not expecting on this sub, because I really didn't think I sent anything that high end. But to be honest, that's fully justified in terms of, I think the $1,000 upcharge applies to cards over $10,000 in value. And this thing is for sure worth more than $10,000. I'm not sure exactly, probably $20,000 range. But it's the kind of card where the price really just varies on the buyer and the situation, because it's so low pop. This is the 6th one graded, and pretty much every other one is already in a permanent collection. So it's just a card you never see for sale. So yeah, very unexpected, but definitely an amazing grade, and the highlight of the whole submission for me. All right, so we got, I think, 5 or 6 cards left to go. Next up is a Wavy Swords of Revealing Light. I picked this up off a friend off Instagram recently. Originally, I was hoping to sub it to BGS because I needed a 9.5 for my set, but it had a bit of corner wear on the back, so I wasn't too sure if it would get a 9.5, and then especially after getting my recent BGS returns back, where the grades were just absolutely, just getting slaughtered on pretty much everything. I decided to send it to PSA. Realistically, for the most part, it could get a 10, but there's a decent amount of white on the back corner, so I was pretty sure it would get a 9, and that's what it got. PSA mint 9. So this one's for sale if anyone wants it. I think so far this is the only card that I'm definitely selling from the return. The next one is also something I'll be selling. This is a glossy dark hole. Really clean overall. This is the third time I've subbed this card. Pretty much the only thing wrong with it is there's a little white print dot right there on the card. So it's kind of in a visible position, I guess, but it's really small. And aside from that, the card is as clean as it gets. No scratching, no edge wear, absolutely nothing. So I really thought this card could get a 10, but now that I've subbed it 3 times, it's still just a 9. I think I'm probably just going to sell it as it is. So yeah, if anyone wants a really, truly clean PSA 9 Dark Hole, feel free to hit me up on Instagram. Alright, next card is a pretty cool one. This was also cracked from my last BGS return. It got a BGS 8.5 with, I think, an 8 on centering and 8.5 surface or something. It's a pack fresh, Wavy Unlimited Red Eyes Black Dragon. So very, very cool card. It is pretty significantly off-center top to bottom. But considering it's pack fresh, there's pretty much nothing wrong with the condition on the entire card. I thought I'd try cracking it, sending it to PSA, and seeing if we could get the mint 9. Because the 9 on a Wavy Unlimited Red Eyes is pretty awesome. Easily worth over $1,000, I'd say. So yeah, that's what we were going for, and the grade we got on the Red Eyes was a mint 9. So to be honest, from a point of view of my collection, this was also one of the highlights of the submission. Not a crazy amount of value, but I just really enjoy this card in Wavy Unlimited. Wavy Unlimited cards in general, to be honest. So this is a really cool one to add to the collection. 3 cards left, it looks like. Next one is another really cool Unlimited card. This is a glossy Unlimited Blue Eyes. It was a BGS 9. I figured it had a tiny chance for a PSA 10. You guys can see the centering is definitely off left to right and a bit top to bottom as well. But aside from that, it's pretty clean. Surfaces are definitely packed fresh. Tiny bit of chipping on the top back edge, but it's flawless apart from that. So I expected a 9 on this. Figured maybe we would get an amazing grade or it gets a 10. And we just got a mint 9, which is completely fine. So really cool card. Similar to the Red Eyes, this one will be staying in the collection. And I'll definitely try and get a graded glossy Unlimited Red Eyes as well, because then I'll have the big 3 all graded in PSA slabs. Alright, next up, I graded one of these in my last regular submission, Snatch Steel First Edition MRL. I had one other really clean copy, which again was a BGS 9 in my recent return. Now this had an 8.5 on centering from BGS, which I thought was unfair. I mean, it's a tiny bit shifted, but it's not bad at all. And I think it had a 9 surface as well. When I originally sent this card to BGS, I truly thought it could get a pristine 10, and pretty much the only reason it wouldn't would be if it got the 9 on centering. But since they just absolutely hammered the subgrades, I figured I'd just send it to PSA. Because even though this is the kind of card where a 10 is almost sort of not good enough to reflect the condition, because it's not that hard to get a PSA 10, whereas this is truly flawless condition. I decided I'd be happy to sell with that on it, and that's what we got. We got a gem mint 10. So I'm not sure how many gems we've had in the sub. I think maybe like 7 or something. Not as good a gem rate as my last sub for sure, but considering that we got the gems on really good cards, I'm still happy with the return overall. And the last card was one I just kind of threw in for fun. This is the Sample Summon Skull. PSA labels the year wrong. They put it as 2002 because that's when SDY came out. But this is the 2001 sample that was given out to stores, I think November or December 2001, with the classic sample text across the back. So this card is completely clean, but it is a little bit OC, shifted upwards. So I figured it would probably get a 9. 10 on a good day, but 9 was the expectation. And that's what we got. We got a mint 9 on the Sample Summon Skull. So just a pretty cool card. I love all the cards that sort of relate to the early history of the game. Obviously, this is technically one of the first cards that ever came out. There's an even earlier version of the Sample Summon Skull from like a month before this one, which was the Kids WB like phone-in promotion thing. And that one doesn't have an Eye of Anubis. That's the only thing that differentiates it from the regular sample. And that one's a lot rarer and more expensive. So I would like to pick one of those up one day. But I'm happy to have this in the collection even as it is as a mint 9. Alright, so that brings us to the end of the return video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Definitely a bit of a roller coaster. There's a lot of cards that I'm going to be looking to resub. But we did get some awesome grades at the same time, so I can't say I'm not happy overall. Yeah, with that being said, this is Schlost signing out. I hope you guys all have a great day.